If you are new to the channel, welcome. If you're not new, welcome back. Today we are going to be talking about another item on my project to-do list, and that is soft deletes. Now, I've talked about them in passing. I don't think we've ever actually really taken a good look at it, as it still is on my list. So I thought that today would be a good day to kind of see what the good, bad, the ugly is in relation to soft deletes. Before we get anything set up, I do want to take a look at some things because there are people who do get a little paranoid that, I'm hiding what version of whatever it is that we're doing. So I'm going to show you exactly what I'm using, and that is Laravel 11.6, and I'm using actually PHP 8.3.6. If we head into the project and we go to the composer.json, you can see that I am using Inertia and Laravel for this project, Laravel 11. Jetstream, the authentication really isn't going to be a big deal. It's not something that we're going to look too much in. We are going to be attaching the user in this project, but authentication really isn't that big a deal. No matter if you're using Breeze or just plain Laravel default blades, the idea is still the same, and you can just translate it to whatever you're using for your front end, because the front end isn't really that important. Even though Laravel Sail comes with a default, I'm not actually using Sail anymore, and that's because I've been learning new technologies, and Sail and Docker really aren't a part of that, so I'm not even dealing with that. But if we take a look at the package.json, I am using Vue 3, Tailwind, V, all this good stuff is involved in this project. It's just basically going to handle the styling and any compiling that we need to have done. So I'm just going to go ahead and close this out. And what I thought I'd do is I would take something very simple and use it to explain how to set up soft deletes. Now, what are soft deletes? Soft deletes are basically a system setup so that if you, on your front end, delete something from the database, it doesn't actually delete it. It just sort of adds a new field into the database for deleted at. If we take a look at the database table, and I'll just use this as an example, if you go all the way over, you have current team, created at, updated at. Soft deletes would add a new column into this database, deleted at, and it would sort of hold that user in the deleted space, even though it's not permanently deleted from the database. Let's go and set up our project, and then we'll talk about it as we go through it. To keep this as simple as possible, we're just going to be creating a sort of small blog, because that's the easiest thing to demonstrate this. Other than something like this would probably be done in an admin panel. We're not building an admin panel. The knowledge is the same. So we'll open up the terminal and we'll make a model. I'll call it post. We'll need a migration, a factory controller, and I don't want to make it a resource controller because we're going to make some funky names just to get these functions all working with one controller. So I'll go ahead, press enter, and that should be good. We'll go ahead and start with the migration. Open that up. And what are we going to need here? Well, we'll need a title for the blog post and a body. I'll make it a text field just so that we have more room for more space, more characters, or what have you. And we can also go ahead and create the relationship right now to the user. Just make it constrained, cascade on delete. Okay, let's go ahead and add this to the model as well. We can just go ahead and add our fillable properties. So it'll just be title and body. We can also make the relationship to the user. The post belongs to the user, and get rid of these foreign and other keys. And that should be good for the belongs to, and make sure that's imported top, which it has not. And I don't know where my extensions are for this, but it's fine. Let's go over to the user model and add the inverse of that relationship. Posts. So this will be post. Done. Is done. Let's go ahead and also deal with the factory. It's factory. And this will just be user ID. You can use the user factory for that. Body will just be fake. Well, for the body, we'll say paragraph. And for the title, just be sentence. Guess I should do it manually then. Off screen, I just went ahead and reinstalled those plugins because that was bugging me. The other one was just this one, and that should be good. We have our post factory set up so we can set up our seeder so that we can just have a bunch of fake posts in here. I'm going to uncomment this one so that we can create the user at the same time. We'll have 10 users, and each user will have posts. We'll just have 10 users, 10 posts. As I said, we're not dealing with authentication. We're not making it so that a user can only delete their own post. That's not the point of this series. I have done that tons of times. Just go and check out my other videos. Right now, we're just dealing with soft deletes. So let's go ahead, open up the terminal. We'll do PHP artisan migrate, and we'll also add the seed flag on there so we can get that in there. And what did I do? Spell this again. Okay, good. So we go and take a look at the database and we go ahead refresh. We should have this new table in here, which is posts. I'll move this up a little bit so we can see it better. Slightly. We have 10 posts. They all have user IDs, titles, body, created at, updated at, and that's all we have for that. Let's go ahead and deal with the index route so that we can display these on our page and be able to work with them. And so as I said, since this is going to be simple, close all of these out, and we'll go to the web route. And then we can get rid of all of these, get rid of this one, and the application. We're not using any of this. So we'll do them all to /posts, post controller. And the first one, we'll just keep it simple, index. And the name will be posts index, just so that we can have them displayed on the page. If we head over to the post controller, as I said before, since we don't have anything as a resource, it's not a resource route, we're going to create our own. Here, we'll create a variable just so that we can keep it clean. And we'll say that post will include the user, but instead of grabbing the whole user, I'll just use the ID and the name because those are the only two things that we'll really be needing from this user. And then we'll get. Right, so we'll return inertia under, and it'll be in a posts folder. The view will be index.view, and then we'll pass in the posts using that post variable. Okay, nothing fancy, nothing too crazy. We're just adding all of these posts to this view file, and we need to go and create that. So we'll go down to resources, use, or JS, pages, and we'll create another folder here, call it pages, index.view. Now I'm going to also be using the composition API, so I'll be using setup. And we'll bring in our posts. Posts will just be an array. Okay, let's just make sure that we can see these here. So since we got rid of all of those routes, this no longer exists. We'll go over to posts, column name. There's a little space here, just a typing error. In order for this to work, there can't really be a space there. Try it again. Okay, well, we have our page, but why aren't we seeing anything? Post index view. You tired? Rename this posts. There they go. As you can see, we have everything we need here. I know it's really jumbled. We'll make it nice and pretty, but you can kind of see that there's user ID 5. This is all the information coming in. We can actually look at the, you have the view dev tools, you can open them up and go to index, and you can see in our posts, we have the ID, user ID, and then for the user, we only have the ID name, and this is just, it's part of the model, so that's why we can see the profile photo URL there. Okay, so let's go ahead and make this look really, really cool. So I'm going to get rid of this really quick, and I'm going to put a div. I'm going to put a div with the nav, and we're going to add some classes. And I want to use an unordered list with some classes on it. And don't worry, this will be in the repo so that you can take a closer look at them. So in the first one, I want a link, and let's go and bring this in up top so don't forget that. Two links, but we'll work on this first one for now. So the href for this is just going to be to the index. Say posts. And I'll grab this in here, go ahead, paste this one in. And this one isn't going to point to anywhere yet because we don't have it yet. So I'll just put a pound sign in there. And this we'll call trashed. So let's go ahead and see real quick and make sure that this looks like something. Okay, and it also has a little bit of a hover thing in here. Let's go ahead and flesh this out as well. Okay, so down here, I'll just make a main. Just put a couple of classes on this. And then I also want a section with some classes on it. And I have a div with the classes of this. And another div. So in here, we're going to have some p tags and some classes on them. First one is going to be italics. And for now, we'll just do by, and then just put in some lorem for this, just for now. Here, the title, just put a few words in there for that. This one won't have anything, but that'll be for the body. This is for the title, this is for the body. And then for now, we don't need this. I'm going to make a form because the only thing that I want to have on here is a button. I'll just put delete. I just want to see what this looks like. Okay, very cool. And then we'll be able to loop over them. But we need somewhere to v4 over. The post index in posts. The key will be index. Now we can fill this in with the title or the username. This here we can do the title. Okay, let's just look real quick. Okay, cool. So here are our end posts that we have. I want a little button here, and the installation with Inertia and Laravel has these components that we can use, so I'll just use one of them. There is a danger button, which is just, it's just a red button. I'll use it down here. This will be a type of submit. Each of them have just a delete button. Again, we're dealing with soft delete. So really all we need to do is delete. We don't have to create or update or anything like that. That's what we have here. So let's go ahead and make a function so that we can get this working. Let's start with the web route. And here I'm just going to use the delete function. We'll pass in the post. So this is just going to be a normal deletion. Call it destroy. Just like normal. So we'll go to our post controller and we'll create that function. So I'm just going to grab this destroy. And since we're using root model binding, we can add the post in here. So the post is now there, and get rid of all of this and just say post delete, just like normal. Don't have to do this, but we can return, let's do to route post index. So we need to add this into our view is just a callback to this. We can go up top and I'm just going to use Inertia's use form. We don't really have anything to put in it, but it's just something that I'm going to do. Equals use form. And we don't have to put anything in there, like I said. But the function will be, we'll call it delete post. And we'll just do form delete route post.destroy. And we'll also pass in that post, which means that we can pass it in here. Really simple. That's all we need to do. Down here, we can do a submit. Will just be delete post and we'll pass in the post that's coming from our v-for loop. So let's go ahead and delete it just so that we have a deleted post. Just delete the first one. And now we have 9. We check the database. Here we have 1 through 10. We have now 2 through 10 because we deleted 1. So we're moving along just fine. Now, if we head over to the Laravel documentation and you do a quick search for soft deleting, it's going to bring you to this Eloquent ORM getting started page. And if you scroll down a bit, I'll find it. It's right here, deleting models. What this is saying is basically you have to use the trait of soft deletes, and this will tell Laravel that this model is the one that you want to have soft deletes. We also need to create a deleted at field in our database so that it has somewhere to go, right? So let's go ahead and take care of that part and see what we have. This is what it's going to look like. You just have a table soft deletes and table drop soft delete. So it has some helpers in the database for that. So let's go and do that. We'll open up the terminal and we'll create a new table or a new migration. To add soft deletes to posts table. And Laravel will be clever enough to know what we mean, right? So we'll go ahead, close this. And then if we go and take a look in our database folder, migrations right here, you can see that we have the post table first, and then we have the add soft deletes to post table. And it is doing what it's supposed to do, table posts, and then we drop it. So it knows which one we want to add this table to, or this column. Okay, that's done for that. And here we need to do table up soft deletes. Okay, let's run this. Cool, let's run our migration. If we go to our database now, and I need to reopen this, let me close these. Posts. Go all the way to the end. You see we have this new deleted at table or column in here, and they're going to be associated with these posts. So that's something that we can work with. Let's go ahead to the post model and also add that trait. And brought in up here. So this is good. This is good. Now let's go ahead and create a route for this. This page that I want to create is sort of going to be an index page. I don't want to create another controller for this, but what I want to do is I just want to sort of list all of the ones that we soft delete. So I'll just say route. This can be get, new posts. We'll call it trashed. And that should be good. So from the post controller, I'm just going to create a function called trashed because I want it to be clear so that when you're looking at this later on, you'll know what all of these are. The name will be posts trashed. So let's go ahead and create this function in our controller. I'm going to go ahead, copy this one. Actually, I'll copy this one. And this one, as I said, we're going to call it trashed. Now we can't just call it like this directly because now they will be trashed. We won't be able to make any eloquent queries onto it. So what we can do is use a function for these soft deletes or an attribute to this, and we'll call it, well, I'm not calling it, but that's what the function is. It's called only trashed. So we'll be listing only the trashed results. Then the page, I'm also going to call it trashed. And post will be the exact same thing. Let's go ahead and add this to, well, first we'll add the link. Just copy this one. And instead of index, it'll be trashed. I'm going to copy this one, and then we'll call this one trashed. Everything is pretty much the exact same thing. We are calling it posts. We have the links to the posts index and the post trash, and then we're looping over the posts, the trash posts, but we don't have any yet. So let's go and deal with that. So I'm going to go ahead and delete a couple. And this should leave us with a few. So let's go over to the trashed page. Now you see we have the 3. And as a matter of fact, what I want to do is here, I want to distinguish between which pages that we have. So this one will be trashed posts so that we can see what we're doing. And paste it here. And this one I'll just call posts or untrashed posts. So I have a little nice title up there. Then we go to posts, untrashed posts. We go to trashed, trash post. We're in the trash posts. We want to permanently delete this from our database. If we go ahead and refresh what we have now, you can see that we still have 2 out of 10, even though we deleted 3. But now this deleted at field has a timestamp in it. Each of them have their own timestamp. So we can go ahead and create another route. And I'm just going to copy this one. But the function that we're going to use, it's also going to be delete. But it's going to be post/trashed/post. Because we have another delete up here and we want to keep them separate. Instead of trashed like this, we'll do trashed. And then to follow along with our methodology, we'll say path destroy or trash destroyed. Let's go to the controller and create that function. I'm going to copy this one, paste it. What did I call it? This thing. As I said before, we delete it, we can do root model binding, but when it comes to soft deletes, once you soft delete an item, you can no longer make an eloquent query on it. So instead of putting post in here, we're going to put string ID. Laravel will be smart enough to pick up what we mean because in here we did put post. That's fine. But in here we have to make another kind of query, which is another function that comes with the soft deleting process. And so here we'll say post equals. And we're going to grab only trashed. Out of all of the results we want the ones that are only trashed. And then here we can do this thing here so that we can just grab the user ID and the username. You don't have to do this, but it's just something that it's good to learn. And then we'll just grab the first one. So the post that is only trashed with their user ID and name, and then we just want to grab the first one. And here, instead of this, there's another function for this, which is force delete. And this will force delete the trashed item. Instead of going back to index, we'll go back to trashed. Okay, cool. So let's go to our trashed view and let's start up here with the function. So instead of just delete post, we're going to put delete trash post. Form delete posts trash destroy. And we're passing in the post that we're looping over through here. And let's grab that function name before I forget. Just put that here, delete trashed post. Let's go and see if this works. Now again, we only have 3 and in our database we had 9. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to delete. Now we only have 2. If we refresh the page, we still only have 2. If we check the database now, 2 through 10, we'll go ahead, refresh it, and now we have 3 through 10. And we only have 2 that are still deleted at, and that's reflected in our front end. Congratulations, you've done it. The person who is going to run down to my comments and say,
But what if I don't want to permanently delete them? What if I just want to temporarily delete them and bring them back at another point? Oh my goodness, they're gone.
Well, they're not completely gone when they're trashed. Again, it is a soft delete. So why don't we implement something in our little project here where we can restore these trashed posts? Right, so let's go ahead and start with the route. And we'll make another one. I'll just copy this one. And this, we will make this one a post route. Posts, trashed, post. And then instead of trash destroy here, we'll put trash restore because we are completely original. So now I can go ahead to the post controller and I'm just going to copy this one for right now. I say that, but you know what I'm talking about. So this one we'll call, instead of trash destroy, it will be store trash destroy, or actually restore. We'll do trashed. What did I call it? Trashed restore. That's what we'll call it. So the trashed restore, we're doing the same thing where we're finding only trashed with the user ID first, blah, blah, yada, yada. But instead of force delete, we are going to restore. And then again, we can just head back to post trash. Our function looks good. Let's go into the trashed component here. Let's start by creating a button. So I want to set it up so that we'll do it like this. Make a div, tap it around it. Go ahead, move this up into it. That can stay the same. And then what I want to do is I want to use another button from Laravel. But before we do that, I'm just going to copy this. I'm going to add it to this div here. And now we can get rid of this div and this div. This one is going to be a primary button. And, well, I'll copy this like this. I think this one's a dark gray or something like that. I don't know. We'll find out. And instead of delete here, I'll put the store. Let's give that a little space just because it's going to bother me. Okay, great. So in the trash post, we have a restore button and a delete button. So if we go up, we can just copy this one and we'll rename it. So instead of delete trash post, it'll be restore. The function will be post, and instead of destroy, it'll be restore because that's what we named it. I'm going to copy this, go down, paste that in, and that should be good. I also want to add a little, so that we can see them. I probably should have added this before, but we'll add a post ID just so that we can see what numbers they are. Okay, let's go take a look. Okay, so we have 2 left, and now go ahead and restore. So now they're no longer here. Let's go and check the posts. And we have 3. That was a number, right? 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If we go to the database, we can double check this. And the numbers that we had were from 3 to 10, with 2 of them being deleted at. So we'll go ahead and refresh it. Okay, so that deleted at was no longer there, or it's no longer filled in. The user ID is 3, and it is also the 3rd post. So to show you how to bring them back instead of permanently deleting them, that's the way to do it. I highly recommend going through the documentation for soft deletes if you want to know any more about it. We went through everything pretty much throughout it, with trashed, restore, force delete, so forth and so on. And this does give you some more information on how to query. The soft deleted models, like I said, you can't just call them, not as variable in that way. You can't really do root model binding with it. You do have to call the model directly because it is no longer a part of the Active Directory or active database, so to speak, but it's there, it's just not there. I highly suggest going through this documentation so that you can get more familiar with it and be able to implement it in your own projects. If you're enjoying the content, please go ahead and click that like button as it really does help out the channel. Here's a video YouTube thinks you'll like, and here's a playlist to follow along. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.